Elyssar probably going to win. I think a lot of us think that. Do you agree?
Well, I don't know. With everybody in prod expecting them to win this matchup, maybe not. But I think it's a safe guess.
You can't bring out the meta reasons. Be like, oh, well, we all think it, so.
Then again, we thought that with Oculix losing in their first matchup on Playday 1, and we were all proven wrong. So there's that, I guess.
Point being, Yasher brought up a good point in the interview. He was like, no, nobody thought the Heist would win. They didn't think they'd win, so they decided to try to do unexpected things to get out from underneath Oculix. TookTheKids are not only in a similar position, they're in the same position, but like even more so. Because they have to fight Elyssar, coming off of 2 victories, being what many consider to be the best team in Challenger League right now, and also because everyone also thinks that Elyssar are probably going to win. Of course, as you can see, a fairly standard ban phase going on behind you, especially for Oregon. TookTheKids aren't going to have a particularly confusing ground to navigate, and they'll certainly have, likely, some good opportunities to go for upsets because there's not a lot of pressure on them. They're expected to lose. It's Elyssar with everything riding on the line.
The one major thing to note is that we have a chance of seeing Mira on the board from time to time. She normally ends up getting banned on Oregon. So that could be interesting to have. She's very good for actually prolonging those extensions that you like to see, especially for like the tertiary site of dining room or meeting, for example. She's also not bad on the basement floor. It's probably her best site because you could completely deny a push from happening in either the side of laundry room, having a mirror window and closet, or having a mirror window or both inside of E-Box leading in through Blue Bunker. So those key parts of the map can be completely stopped by just a simple mirror window, especially if the coordination is not there and the utility is lackluster. But we're not going to have to worry about this, at least on round number 1, because she's not in play as of now.
No Mira on the board. We instead have Dorm's defense with a lot of the usual suspects. We got the Jaeger, we got the Smoke, we got the Cade. We even have an Aruni and a Frost, which we still see on occasion, though curiously enough, no shield coming out from Inrio. Instead, a second bulletproof cam alongside the one brought by Young Alec. Interested to see where Giddy puts his shield. I was about to maybe provide some options, but right in front of your eyes, he put it in trophy, so I won't even entertain that option. But it did seem like the most likely position, and with that shield, pretty much the same setup you'd expect with this lineup. Probably see Young Alec playing behind there with Giddy playing in the site. Probably Kento and Young Alec down below. Or some combination of that.
Probably a combo.
Probably.
But, we'll have to wait a little while longer, I suppose. One thing that I did note when watching TookTheKids play yesterday was how strong they were, at least for Trist, with those frag grenades. So it only makes sense they're going to want to bring out like 8 in total. The only problem with that is they don't have any general util burn. And if they still lose somebody, then that's a whole set of grenades down the drain and also one less gun to have against Elyssar, who know how to shoot straight, that's for sure. See, there's example A. Beautiful opening there by Kento to remove one of those many grenades and one of your main intel gatherers as well, as the Geminis are no longer an option because the Iana's dead first.
Just smoked that guy. Nice trade, though, by Mr. B onto Inrio. Not entirely sure where that was, to be perfectly frank, but definitely towards the site, given it's Mr. B and Inrio was the one that fell. There are still a few players from Elyssar still down below. There's even a drone in a very nice spot inside of Kitchen. Oh, that is tough. I believe TPA just barely missing the Smoke, reinforcing that wall into Attic. Unlucky timing coming for TookTheKids. There is still an opportunity for them to deal with not only Young Alec, but also Kento down below. Second nade comes out from Trist, though it finds a whole lot of nothing, as they had some success with that refrag onto Inrio, but when it comes to actually clearing out these players, bottom floor appears to be in the hands of Elyssar.
Oh, Trist almost getting caught in a Frostman as well.
Almost let it get away.
Completely stopped the white pressure for the time being, but nope, that will not be the case. He actually ends up finding the kill onto Young Alec as he tries to fall back, but still need to worry about Jaeger inside a freezer door. That could be an issue, but thankfully the grenade will catch him as he tries to push away through Z hallway, and the main advantage is still favoring TookTheKids for the time being.
Unfortunately, Trist's nades weren't as great, but we have Tragical to thank for stopping Kento's reign of terror down below. White control in the hands of the attack, though he's now tangling with Vivid, who's not keen to let the attack get any more ground they've already gained. Yet he's also got to be careful playing inside a swamp right now. He drops down, but Mr. B falls right into a frost mat. That's what I was worried about as he took that gunfight. There was a bear mat right below his feet, and he let the kill consume his focus and get tunnel visioned on that goal. A nice spray by Vivid. I was going to say 2 bodies now reside inside of Attic, but just as the first word left my mouth, Vivid shut that one down real quick.
Unfortunately, having a lack of general information there, TookTheKids We're doing a lot of phase checking really in that round besides having a lot of drone activity inside of kitchen. Other than that, they were kind of just checking everything in a manner where it was not that favorable for them, and they were just expecting to win the gunfights outright, which for a moment that did happen, but still having the anchor coverage be as good as it was by Elyssar and still having those frost mats, which again were never checked by a drone or nobody looking down, it did give Elyssar the upper hand. And when you put them in positions where they can just sit back and just look pretty in the sight, I mean, they're going to be able to fully be able to punish TookTheKids when they just try to get hyper aggressive towards the end of the round.
I hope we'll see some more aggression from Kento, mostly because if that was the shots he's going to treat us with as the first kill of the map, hoping he's got a little bit more in store. I want that style of game. It's TookTheKids versus Elyssar. Kind of like the last one. I'm not watching this to, see some brilliance. I want to see some nice shots. I want to see TookTheKids just trying to sweep Elyssar off their feet in whatever way they can. Again, might not be genius, but at least something that's kind of like throwing dirt in the eye of Elyssar. That's what I want to see from this matchup, and hopefully we'll see Kento continuing to get aggressive. We'll see a Warden as well coming out from Elyssar, so kind of like the opposite of what I just said in terms of like defenders, but it is still Giddy with the 1.5 on the MPX, and we've seen back when they were IF on this site with an operator, he's able to hold down the fort pretty effectively.
Well, enough, we've got Giddy actually trying to go in wide swing with the Warden, someone who could be very effective of stopping at least a couple of these flash grenades and maybe the Gersmont concussive lifelines by the Sophia to maybe make sure you can still hold some key position for a little while. But again, the bigger emphasis here by TookTheKids has got to be that grenade potential. Not having 8, but still 6. That is a lot more than expected for most rounds, especially when there is no Omai on the board. They're just going to try to break down those shields as quickly as possible and then just save the rest of those grenades later on just to outright go for kills. But to see the Yana die again, that could be an issue, and it's not going to be a 5v4 for Elyssar. In fact, a 1-for-1 trade, but still, not nice is actually the opening loss of life once again, Carter.
2 rounds in a row. Kento killing nice, and then a trade happening. So that one a little bit more direct than the previous one, so very odd how that ended up shaping out between round number 1 and round number 2. But Kento did his job. He put down all of his utility on the site. He was trying to get aggressive, go for 1-for-1 at a bare minimum. He did his job, and he took down the Yana with a nice kit in her pocket as well. So I would say he probably did his job for what he was intending in this round. Furthermore, Tragical, who has a lot of that utility, is kind of trapped on back stairs right now. Not trapped in that he can't escape, but if he wants to be the guy that holds pillar, he's not going to be able to use a lot of those nades, not going to be able to use that Gon 6 if this is the area he wants to try to minimize in terms of presence for the defense.
Best case scenario here for Vivid as well, you could either play close in your Harry Potter or just try to fall back in Blue Bunker because no one has rotated just yet. It's still a majority of TookTheKids only setting up inside of the E-Box hatch through meeting and also just next to these back stairs, and still having Vivid alive with those toxic canisters can burn through a lot of time. Eventually though, Trist will make that proper call to try to apply more pressure from another direction here to make sure they can get rid of this back stairs pressure before things become too problematic.
Wow. TPA just drops down, and somehow both him and Tragical, the ones ends up losing their life, somehow make the drop work, even with Pillar still very much in the question for which team it was truly in the hands of. Now we're in a situation where, especially now that Giddy's lost his C4, he's got to win these fights, and he nails 2 of them. Seemed like he was just a walk in the park at that point with that MPX. No work needed whatsoever to take down 2 of the remaining players on TookTheKids, and now Trist is wondering, well, how the hell this is somehow turned out of the control for TookTheKids. He's reclaimed the diffuser, but going for kills is of the utmost importance, and it doesn't appear he was tall enough to the task. A 3K for Giddy to round out that round, the second one for Elyssar.
Again, the anchor coverage is plentiful for Elyssar, and that's all they've got to really worry about because they did enough to slow down TookTheKids and still force them in a relative speaking funnel. They had somebody go around a Blue Bunker and eventually kill that presence near Pillar and backstairs, but there was already so much bloodshed in that one area, it did still slow down TookTheKids, and they didn't really want to fully recuperate themselves before going in for that push. They didn't have anybody throwing out flash grenades, nobody going for regular frag grenades as well to stop anybody playing near that closet rotate to just hold the pixel angle near the bomb chassis. That's normally where somebody on the smoke can go throw out canisters, where somebody can go for nitro cell toss, or in this case, having just the player of Giddy walk around with the MPX and just click heads. That's simple, but still the exact same purpose of stopping that plant from going down and completely shutting out TookTheKids.
See an interesting change in the lineup for Took the Kids, or maybe not necessarily a change, but something to note. Dual Hard Breacher for a Meeting Hall Kitchen defense. I mean, it certainly serves a purpose. It widens up their options, but typically, whichever take you want to go for, whether it be going for stage, going for split, or trying to do something in kitchen, you typically only need one to get the job done. And the only hard breach denial to speak of here would be the mute, so could indicate that Took the Kids are looking to be a bit more thorough, go for a full clear of that top floor, or just keep their options open for what they want to go for. If they try to work stage and it doesn't pan out, they can rotate over and not have to worry about being down 1 or even 2 exothermics. They do need to worry about Kento, though, because right now Tragical is just walking through basement right now, and there's a Melusi just on the opposite side of the brick wall from him. Have they done their droning? I'm gonna say no, based on how Tragical is acting. He knows there might be somebody here, but he's watching Freezer right now. Not at all aware of the Melusi's presence, and that's a freebie for Kento if I've ever seen one.
And I believe that is, what, the third opening duel as a win for Kento now? Yeah, this guy has been doing fantastic on that heavy roam play and not yet being refragged. Don't want to jinx him, of course, but he has been able to solo out Tragical, and nobody was there to back him up, and that does leave a lot of open air for Elyssar. They don't have to worry about the adrenaline surges. One of your main grenade players is now gone. Funny enough, we don't have a lot of people actually bringing nades this time around. That's only Mr. B. And you now have to worry about that flank in the back of your mind because it was never fully dealt with. So a very powerful position to still win that opening duel once again. At least Not Nice is able to trade because he was not the person to get picked off first and foremost. But still, only losing out on Giddy, it can deny a lot of late round stall for the defense, but again, the flank, that could honestly be the bigger make or break here for Took the Kids, not the smoke being gone.
And we saw Nyx do a lot of good work in that position during the Nocturnes game earlier, so shame Giddy cannot replicate that success going forward, and that does mean that Took the Kids now have a good opportunity to clear out some more of this utility, but a C4 flies out and Nice snipes it out of midair. Excellent shots with that PDW. He decided to move the Osa shield from where it was before, and, well, ends up sniping that C4 out of the air, like I just said. There is still some presence on that top floor, like you said, though, John, and sure, Inrio might not be able to push up, but he could catch TPA off guard. Oh, wait.
Plant going down by Mr. B. All right, then. Looks like no one's aware of this, and there's still coverage, but great swing by Kento. He gets 3. All of them completely taken care of by the players swinging through split. At least we have Aha up towards the top, able to find at least something. Still an equalized position, but the complete swindle by Kento. Again, having that roam capability towards the latter end of the round really did become an issue, but it wasn't on some sort of flank. It was just the pushing through split, but now it's only Kento left to stand, needing to find the ace in these last 20 seconds, Carter.
All right, Johnny's got this. I mean, maybe not. He's got to work through an LMG looking his way over towards split, but the attack needs to retake the diffuser. If they want to go for stage, it could work behind that Osa shield. Nice just picks it back up, moves it on forward, knows that Kento can't make it work, but with his gun down, he cuts down TPA. That's it. With no impacts, he's got to push up. He sees his prize right in front of him as Nice gets off. It's the ace for Kento! Knocks Nice's head onto the floor. 3 rounds in a row for Elyssar, all thanks to the Melusi.
And everything was going so well after the smoke had fallen, but having the Melusi still alive, Kento just doing amazing stuff with that MP5. We saw him completely change the game several different times, especially stopping the plant. There was just too much going on at the exact same time for Took the Kids to fully isolate this one player just anchoring near split. And if they just waited a few more seconds, droned him out, fully cleared out the top floor, had the hatch coverage as well to have both doors leading from split guarded by somebody, that could have been a completely different round. And maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't have seen Kento ace and give a 3rd round for Elyssar in a row.
He's just styling on him at this point. He's got 2 deaths, but 8-2 after 3 rounds so far. 2 of his teammates have 0 kills. Inrio and Young Alec, they have sane people, but they have not finished one off, whereas Kento, he's got 8 of them. Not even difficult at this point. Going back to dorms, of course, this was the first round that Elyssar won, and what do you know? Just like the 3 rounds we've seen, it involved Kento in an opening duel, playing over by Small Tower, not even really punishing Took the Kids. They were still droning. They weren't getting too ahead of themselves. He just wanted to take some of those fights and ended up landing a very nice one onto Not Nice. We see him play in that same area. He's on Jaeger again. He's over by that area. Took the Kids need to be cautious.
Starting out here for Took the Kids, they once again have 8 grenades. and they're probably going to go for roughly the same kind of push. They don't have a lot of hard destruction. They could maybe go into Attic later in the round if they have both the Maverick and Sophia playing near there. And then they could maybe rotate later on from Big Window and White Stairs, since they already want to clear out that White Stairs position so they can then move in a kitchen and go for the vertical play with those frags. So far, everything looks pretty normal by TookTheKids, except, again, they are just relying very heavily on those grenades, and if they never fully take care of the roam presence before they can utilize those grenades, we might see Elyssar be able to steal a 4th round in the books.
Inrio's in a little bit of a tricky situation inside of Big Tower right now. 2 players on rappel, both trying to nail him down. Mr. B spots his back for just about half a second, but still not in a very good spot to try and punish him for this behavior. Sees one rappel in. That's almost a freebie for Inrio, but oh no! He lets the opportunity slip by, and the sheer amount of bullets that TPA has is a little bit more than Inrio can deal with. First pick going the way of TookTheKids. First time in this match.
At least we have the passive utility of Inrio still on the board, both the bulletproof camera along with also having, actually no, it's a shield this time around, but still having that shield up, and also the frost mats, which were a very big thing to keep Elyssar alive on the first time kids in play. It's not that big of a concern, and still wasting about the first half of the action phase is not a big concern, especially since we have young Alec and Kento still alive in this roam game to maybe cause havoc in this last minute 20.
Vivid going down as well. Young Alec not really overstaying his welcome, just caught up in the tsunami of TookTheKids down below. Not even Kento, the demon himself. All he can manage is one singular frag before he's stopped on the bottom of White Stairs. Giddy nailed to that wall by 2 different sprays of bullets. If TookTheKids were still wanted to show us they were in it, that's certainly the round we needed to see.
Yeah, bold statement indeed. Getting that first pick, humbling Enrio essentially in the middle of T3, and then just kind of brushing off the rest of the enforcements that were thrown out by Elyssar in the last-ditch attempt to try to salvage that one back. We didn't see enough team play there by both the Jaeger and also Rooney. It was just kind of solo peaks at really awkward times, and only a singular 1-for-1 trade, I think, was found in that position, which was nowhere near enough when you were already in a 5 versus 3. So although the roam game looked promising, it was actually swiftly taken care of by TookTheKids, and they really showed no weakness on that last round. A pretty good adaptation after they showed a lot of struggle in the first 3 rounds, but quickly bounced back at least in round number 4.
We saw Kento go to Small Tower again as Jaeger. Do we see him go all the way up to dorms on a solo roam again, John? Does he keep it up? Does he keep it up?
I mean, the roam's been working well for Kento for the most part. I don't think he was directly on a roam that last round, funny enough. It was actually Inrio who was playing aggressive in T3. Maybe if we saw Kento backing him up, that could have been a different scenario. So with the fact that Kento has not been properly dealt with, we could definitely still see him try to get aggressive and work those opening picks for his team.
Well, we shall see then. Because Inrio is in Big Tower again. That is not Kento, but it is the same player who was in Big Tower last time. Again, the same thing can be said previously as for now. Bit of an isolated position. He's got to be worrisome, especially moving down to that middle floor. Somebody's outside that doorway could have proved to be an issue, but he'll just pull back, and he doesn't have to worry too much. Kento is not up inside of dorms. Instead, he is top freezer, a much safer position where you can still get aggressive, but put more of the focus on destroying drones or wasting utility.
So far, not a lot of drones being wasted, but the first minute is almost officially burned off, and we still have not Nice just prowling around near the top floor. He's on Armory Stairs, can begin to work his way a little bit lower, having the backup by Trist out in the drone, so that's at least something to boot. And then, in a matter of moments, we'll get to see that meeting hatch opened up here by some Exkyrus charges once Trist gets in that position. And I believe Inrio has now fallen back as well, so at least everyone's remained alive in this first minute, and TookTheKids have essentially stalled themselves by a smidge, but it is only that first minute. So long as they just, hasten up this middle floor clear and get themselves in the right positions to go on that rotation, whether it be through Blue Bunker or more of a laundry and freezer kind of push, they should be all right for the time.
Definitely prioritizing E-Box and Pillar and just the backside in general at the moment. Oh, both Vivid and Tragical flirt with death. They stare at each other, and I think both even flick towards each other, but both back off from the engagement right as the other one decides to take it. So nothing lost by either of these teams just yet. But TookTheKids, they're looking towards that backside, but still yet to actually make any consolidated focus moves toward the site. That could change momentarily. They have still plenty of those nades, and they have 3 flashbangs for Trist to try and make hopping down E-box a little bit easier. But a minute left, nothing has given between either of these teams. Still waiting, TookTheKids are for what they deem to be the right moment, and it seems like it might be now. The nade goes through, Mr. B looking to drop, but he succumbs to the same fate many teams and players do. He drops and ends up dying to the pillar player. One player just around the corner takes down Tragical 2, but in a matter of surprise, TookTheKids actually get 2 kills. Though they are traded back very quickly by Inrio, they still make things a little bit better than they could have been, but by the end of the round, and by how things boil out, it's still Taha left in the 1v3. Even gets his lifeline caught by an ADS. This is sometimes how E-box drops ends, with most of your teammates dead in the early execute, and by the end of it, you give the enemy the win.
And instead of having just multiple people basically sit themselves out and kind of put themselves in timeout because the toxic canisters are being placed near big tower stairs, maybe having more players rotate around inside a blue bunker. That way you can have somebody drone in the rest of your team, flashbang out blue in case there's an extension side of elbow. Just changing up things slightly and not falling under the same trope of we need to have only one person play for the rotate, even though it's such an important part of the map to gain, especially when you have half your teammates again just stuck on back stairs because there's a toxic canister that keeps popping off every 10 seconds and denies that point of entry. And then E-box is just a whole nother bottleneck in and of itself that was never fully tamed by TookTheKids. Still only having 1 round in the bag. This looks to be a good guesstimation so far by Archer, and he might have us eat our own words perhaps later on, depending on how this next round goes as well.
I mean, he predicted a 4-2 defensive half on Oregon. He's not Nostradamus.
That is very, very basic.
Yeah. I don't want to, man's got 100% prediction percentage. I'm not going to give him too much flack, but come on. Not treat him, like he did something incredible. Though, I will say, getting a prediction right in general, especially in Rainbow Six, very difficult to do sometimes, in my opinion. Just seems like teams will always fight against you no matter what you try to do. We'll see if he ends up being right here. Of course, Elyssar, that they have lost Storms once, as John was alluding to. TookTheKids did manage to win it. Trist loves his Nook on this site, I suppose, as he has brought it every single time to varying degrees of success. And I'm going to be honest, when it succeeded, I don't think it's because he was Nook. Just because he was in the right spot at the right time.
And nades.
And nades. That is also true. But again,
that is quite literally
is that really Nook? Or is that just nades? Could bring the sledge. Same effect.
This is true. And it would have the same worth because Nook's primary gadget has not been used basically at all to any help. And the sledgehammer is not very effective when trying to attack against kids in dorms.
Perhaps.
Except if there maybe is a castle on the board, perhaps. That would quite literally be it. So maybe just some food for thought for Triss, I suppose, or at least playing in a position where the Nook is actually be useful. Mr. B's going to be in a useful spot and catches Vivid off guard, even add some funny moments there, funny punctuation inside the all chat. So that's nice. Yeah, but it still took the kids to get the opening pick.
What's so funny about so funny about the question mark, John?
Oh, nothing, Carter. You wouldn't understand.
Yeah, that's true. That jokes tend to go over my head. Sense of humor has never been my strong suit. But still, nice kill by TookTheKids. Vivid just kind of gave himself up to that, so I don't really know what was up there. You know what is up, though, John? You know what is a little bit curious? TookTheKids still have to clear out Kento and Young Alec. To be fair, I think they know where they are, but they've only got 4 drones right now on the board and still half the round to go. Young Alec also providing some issues down below. Ooh, and Trist losing an opportunity to keep the man advantage. Loses the fight to Giddy. A little bit caught off guard right there. Maybe should have been expecting something when he walked up white, but that somehow means that Elyssar, despite losing the opening duel, not only have the lead right now, but there's still a player on white stairs, but is not long for this world, unfortunately.
Well, a minute left here. Still have grenades being tossed to no avail, though, for TookTheKids. They're now fully repositioning to try to actually push in through Deer, but not having the back wall of Closet opened up, I think. I could be wrong, though. I'm not entirely sure on that fact just yet. Mr. B might have been able to do enough work with the blowtorch. It is essentially a funnel here, and having no one to stop this attic pressure is definitely going to lead to a lot of issues here for TookTheKids, especially if we don't have Not Nice actually have this push workout coming up white stairs.
There's one still behind him that he's very much worried about. Inrio doing the work on the site. Giddy joining in as well. Now, the player Not Nice was concerned with, he's got to turn his attention to two separate places, and Kento is his undoing in the end. 5-1-1/2 for Elyssar. So Parker is not correct, but the spirit of what he intended when he made that prediction is certainly so. Elyssar in the lead, and in a very good spot going forward on their attacks.
Yeah, let's do that just to give him the good old caster curse. See, you thought it only worked for players. No, it can also work for casters talking about analysts as well. Funny enough.
That's like a 3 degrees of separation
Yes.
right there.
Oh yeah.
So
Love
many
to see
curses
it.
going on.
Maybe the audio bug is a curse as well inadvertently, because I swear
I
it
have to
happens
say,
almost
by the
all
way, I'm
time.
gonna give us a pat on the back for not mentioning it once this entire day, despite the fact it's been here since, I'm pretty sure, since game 1.
Yep, and almost all of them have been round 1, except I think game 1. And I only brought it up as a funny joke, not even to say, oh, we have the audio bug again. So yeah, I think that was a pretty good call. What was not a good call that last round was having Trist walk up white for the 800th time.
I agree with that.
With no prior information or any proper team play. Nobody tried hopping in through attic window. Nobody was playing kids window to help out with the main doorway that looks into white stairs. It was just a hero play that did nothing except lose another player for TookTheKids, which gave Elyssar, again, a very potent position, and they only had to worry about the funnel in Deer Door and white stairs. That was it after that happened.
5 seconds left before insertion.
Well, for Elyssar's lineup, based on how, well, I suppose I could say how everyone like Giddy, Vivid, alongside Kento have been playing, but mainly just when I say this, I'm thinking of how much Kento's been hitting their shots, or hitting his shots. We've got the Ying coming on the board for Giddy. Ying does not by any means mean they're going to rush. It's not like how it used to be where you'd see the Ying come out once in a while like, oh, they're probably going to hit this quick. No, we could see the Candelas wait for a little bit. Well, Mr. B won't wait, oddly enough, given his usual position on this team, being on the site and last in line. Takes down young Alec as the first kill of the series, who has actually not been having the best game so far. 1-6, but the team's 5-1, so not the biggest deal. But he loses a fight to Mr. B outside. But to go back and tie it back to the point I made earlier, they still have that Ying, which if they're going for the kind of tick I think I feel like they're going for, whether it be Freezer or Laundry, it's going to be decisive when those Candelas come through, and that's the operator they need to keep alive.
Say for at least the Ying, it can be very simplistic, just to throw down a Candela, leading from E-Box hatch down through pillar, and that clears out the entire position, forces a very hefty fallback, or someone is going to be completely white screened. And then they will die, most likely, afterwards. So probably going to see E-Box, but having a Ying to help clear out the back of Freezer is not a bad idea at all, especially if there is a shield placed out next to the kill wall, not inside of Freezer itself. It can still be a very good use of utility to actually remove that one key area of the map. So no matter what, Ying is going to be a powerhouse, and they need to make sure that they keep that lifeline on the board for as long as possible, because if Giddy falls as well, there might not be any room for recovery here for Elyssar.
Well, as long as Kento is on the board, though, there's still a chance, especially with how he was playing in the first few rounds. It's not like he's even really, like, tapered off. He just hasn't been the Kento from rounds 1 through 3, which is like saying he was a 9 out of 10. Now he's just a 7. And a 7 can still win your rounds if you're in a 3v5. We'll see how it pans out, of course. Minute remaining. Elyssar looking to go for that E-Box drop. The Candela's still in pocket. They can make it work, as you said. Clear out that position, make Tragical go full white, especially since it doesn't appear they've opened up those X-Kairos on top of that bunker wall. Excuse me, almost had to sneeze right there, and right as Mr. B kills Kento, it goes away. Thank you very much, Mr. B. Now I can get back to talking. Elyssar, they need to get back to something a little bit more successful right now, because the Candelas go through both Tragical on back tower stairs. That entire drop, that entire push, completely nullified, even with the utility that Giddy brings. It's completely one-dimensional with only 20 seconds left. They got to worry about back tower stairs, and they can't even really concern themselves with that. They just have to send it into the site, especially now that Giddy has provided that opening. As Vivid falls as well, they know where the Ying's position is. Giddy might have an LMG, but it's unlikely he comes away with even one kill in this 1v3. It's TookTheKids instead to come away with their first round in quite a while.
And I think we had Tragical playing all the way in T3 for the whole round, perhaps, until he dropped down. Either that, or he went from playing an anchor position on the bottom floor and then fully moving up through Big Tower to actually go on some sort of flank. Either way, I've got to really commend Tragical for spotting out how hard of a tunnel vision we did see there by Elyssar, and just not having really enough time or utility besides the Candelas to make any headway. It looked like there for Elyssar, they were just thinking too much about just having the Candelas on the board. And when that did not find them 3 opening picks and just total map control and domination, they started to ponder what their next step in the process was. And it just, it was trying to brute force their way into sight when they were still at a disadvantage. So not a good position there for Elyssar, but they've got a couple of rounds to bleed. It's not the end of the world. They still have a 3-round advantage despite just losing that previous round.
Not to completely change topics from what you just said, but that was trying to do that while I had to sneeze for like 10 seconds. That was brutal, man. That was very uncomfortable.
I know that pain. Yeah.
I don't. That has not happened to me in like a long time. I didn't even know it was possible. I just assumed like sneezing was one of those things my body was like, oh, you're working? Yeah, we won't do that. Kind of like the hiccups. Like I've never gotten the hiccups while working, right? Have you?
I kind of have. Not like normal hiccups, but like every now and again, I try to say something and then like my breath just goes away and I'm like, oh boy.
I have that
that's
effect
fun.
on people.
Yes, you are very breathy.
I know. You don't need to tell me twice. I look in the mirror every day and I'm like, it's good to be me. Anyway, moving on. Hopefully TookTheKids are not going to have any subsequent hiccups after that round win. That's what we call a segue. Because after that first win, they still have 3 to go. Sure on defense, but still with an Elyssar that has been looking very good in the matchup overall. Some intel to put things a little bit further in Elyssar's favor, spotting out the roamers down below. We saw how tricky this was for TookTheKids to deal with on their attack. Perhaps we'll see Elyssar suffer the same, or overcome, or deal with the same hiccups that we saw TookTheKids do on their attack. We'll have to see just yet, as young Alec will only wait and hope that the Aruni gives away an engagement at some point in the next minute.
Also, just waiting for us, our teammates to back him up, not just having young Alec go for a solo swing and getting refrag potentially, or not even finding a kill to begin with here. That's probably the better call. Still having Elyssar as well, trying to worry about that closet wall. Not really going to find all that much just yet. There is still a smidge of the electricity, at least on the back left wall. And young Alec actually decides to no longer have to worry about the security/kitchen presence. They'll try to go over towards white, maybe rotate around to big window outside, or maybe still try to hold white for the time being. We still have a relatively small stall occurred by Elyssar, and they're really not in a good position to actually really hold down all that much against TookTheKids. And there it is. We just had a quick swing by both Not Nice and the Aruni player of Taha, and now it's a 5 versus 3 favoring TookTheKids because of their patience.
That was like a horror movie. The blood just splattered on the wall right as young Alec went down. That was wild. Hell of an angle that we caught just there. Of course, Not Nice getting the kill after. Elyssar actually also getting caught up on these players down below, just like we saw TookTheKids go through a couple times on their attack, specifically on dorms. Kento's alone right now over on this side. He might just try to send it up white, and of course, it needs to be said, he's got to worry about the players just behind him. Also, the players right around the corner, but Tragical gives his life away, unfortunately, right there. And Kento, almost takes the head off Trist. But down below, no, he somehow wins that one. Hipfire headshots Ta, and Nice as well. A 3K for the Finka. What can this man not do? He's walked up white and almost won the round for his team, but not if Trist has something to say about it. All the Candelas have gone out for Giddy, and all that it got Elyssar was 1 kill for Trist and 1 kill for Mr. B. It is another situation where Kento has to 1v2 and ace, but this time to get match point, he gets 1. That's a 4K. He knows what the other one is. How could he do it again? A 2 ace, another 1v2. Nothing else can be said but wow, it's match point for Elyssar.
And they had a bulletproof Carter. How did they not know where the Finka was playing at? Did they expect Kento to late rotate or something? The whole point of having Kento sit there was so he could help with the cutoff angles to go for a plant. Even though Habana died, there's just no time left for Kento to fully rotate without having only 2 seconds to spare. Why in God's name was Trist in the middle of the rotate hole between both the white wall and foosball instead of just throwing out his last toxic canister? If we had
Me too.
white door
Me too,
be
young
watched,
Alec.
and we had, and if we just had a smoke grenade tossed there, that would have been a total round. But again, they let this man get away with robbery not only once in the ace department,
Bro,
but twice.
That's the real
like
heist.
you mentioned, Carter.
That's the real heist, John.
This is indeed the real heist. You are correct, Carter.
This is a low Oceans 11, 12, and 13 in Elyssar versus TookTheKids. I mean, You don't need to say anything after that. 2 aces, 2 1v2s, like, that's the mental.
Just speaks
Gone.
for itself.
Throw it out the window. Don't need it. Mental's gone. I mean, obviously, still potential that took the kids going 4 rounds in a row. Again, it is Oregon defense, like I said earlier. But after that, another burst of momentum, you could see everyone from Elyssar in chat, glee, giddy with joy. And that's not just saying because Giddy's on Elyssar. That means happy. I mean, at this point, we'll have to see what happens. TookTheKids will go back to dorms, running a similar setup. And to be fair, John, it's not like Elyssar had like a great round before Kento started showing up, so they can still lose this, to be sure.
There is a chance, especially if Triss remembers what his primary gadget button is towards the last 10 seconds. Although he did have great stall throughout 90% of that round, it's just he forgot to throw the last one. And again, there was a bulletproof watching Dear Door, so I don't know how that got mixed up in communications there. I took the kids. But yeah, they get a second chance at going here to kids in dorms. They still have the roam game that we saw last time. They just need to make sure they don't get overconfident here. And I think having Kento ace them twice in a row is definitely a big humbling moment. But why are you there?
Oh, that's...
What?
Oh, no. Oh, no. That's not good. That's your smoke. That's like very important operator, John. I'm new to Rainbow Six, but smoke, kind of important. That's your stall in the late round, especially since you only have a C4 and Mr. B to rely on after that. The saving grace and the big selling point for TookTheKids, even in the last round, has been this pressure down below. And Not Nice will continue to prove that in round number 9. Still Kento, of course. We still have to worry about him. But Elyssar have already done some damage on the site that I don't think even Mr. B can mitigate with that C4.
And having the Habana gone, that does allow only a couple of options here, really, for Elyssar. They have to walk in through Dear Doorway once again, most likely. Maybe have somebody play in the window rappel, looking down through foosball to help with that coverage. But so far, looks like Elyssar is still trying to clear out this middle floor, defensive extension, and they still need to try to go for some sort of proper plant position that isn't just running up white, but still having this extension be quite strong by both Not Nice and Taha is definitely leading to more issues than anticipated, and now TookTheKids have reclaimed the man advantage.
Oh, but Giddy just storms on through freezer stairs, smokes Taha and doesn't even break stride as he does it. They're still Nice down below. He's revealed his position, but Giddy doesn't even react. A confusing turn of events in round number 10, but one that results in TookTheKids hanging on for another round.
At least we had Elyssar try to opt and clear out that extension still, which was the saving grace for TookTheKids. They had that good team cohesion, and they also were able just to be in a better position to win those gunfights, period. Maybe if we had Elyssar try to fully rotate up in through the area of Deer and Master, that could have been a different storyline, because with Trist being gone, there isn't much left for TookTheKids to stop a plant near foosball. They didn't have a lot of nitro cells. The roam presence that was established was by both an Aruni and Jaeger. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but neither one of those two operators have nitro cells. So it would have to be somebody playing on that site pressure to fall back, maybe through meeting Hatch, for example, in Addict, or maybe going around somewhere through Kids, so then fully rotate to go for that C4 play. It would just be direct site pressure and then a late retake by TookTheKids, unless they rotated fast once they got the call that it was more or less a master push. So trying to stick to plan A for Elyssar there was probably the biggest misconception for them. But again, they have a huge advantage against TookTheKids, so losing a couple rounds here and there is not a problem for them at all.
That being said, of course, it wasn't also like Basement was this, bastion of glory on their attack as well. It was an E-box drop, which we were like, oh, they got the Ying. Those Candelas should make it a lot easier. You blind everyone in Pillar, and which, to be fair, it did do that. But when they went for the drop, Tragical somehow went for a flank down back tower stairs, which Elyssar were just bamboozled by. So when they went in for the actual execute, they were pinched and pushed and compressed on all sides, and were shut down completely, despite all the cool utility they had. Here, seeing everybody outside over by main door and freezer and small tower right now. That doesn't necessarily indicate anything. They're probably just getting open all these hatches before committing themselves to one specific push. But of course, with that Cade on the board and the Maverick needing to dedicate some portion of his hard-breaching utility, where Elyssar go now could indicate what they're prioritizing, at least early on.
Again, though, they have a very stable composition to want to go for more or less that meeting kind of approach. Having both Maverick and Habana, though, could have all these hatches opened up pretty much instantaneously. And I think the only thing they really have to worry about for the most part is probably those electro claws. So depending on where those are positioned at, that might change how this entire round plays out. But nothing, of course, on that E-Box hatch because Mr. B is expecting the Maverick to open up this hatch because of the Cade. That is still going to allow this one part of the map to be in the pocket of Elyssar for a later push, potentially, of course.
Mr. B waiting for this hatch to open to send out a C4. He does so, and, well, Young Alec lives. I actually thought that might go over the stage, and before Young Alec moved, I was like, oh no, that's going to be it. But he just loses about half his HP. Yeah, that's a lot. But as long as he can survive to send those nades out, he'll be doing okay for right now. The second C4 finds even less impact than the first one did. At least the first one did damage. That second one just gave a bit of a chill, gave a bit of a scare to the player on back tower stairs, but beyond that, they're pretty much chilling right now. But that's when it's a 5v5, Elyssar are still the ones where it's incumbent upon them to make the first move, where they have to start pushing forward, and now that bunker's reinforced, their options are more limited.
Well, thankfully, Tragical is not in a position to go on a flank through Big Tower stairs. He's actually playing in the tucked-in corner at the beginning of Highway. Giddy and another player actually already dropping as well. They want to try to push in the site in these last 40 seconds, and having that opening pick as a win for Elyssar, this is already looking to be smooth sailing for this final execution, Carter.
For a sudden E-Box drop, even resulting in a kill, remarkably stagnant, but not as Tragical almost gets 3. He only gets 1 as Young Alec finishes off Giddy for him, but it still comes down to Elyssar on the back foot, just with the same basement attack they went with previously. Kento might spot not nice, but he's got the more advantageous position in this case. Same with Inrio as well, as he walks over to recover the diffuser. He's put down to very low HP, just a couple bullets away from death, and 3 players all ready for him to make the long march up Long Haul. Taha around the corner spots his gun barrel, but it's Triss to finish him off. TookTheKids. Sure, they might have lost that round to Kento, but when it comes to fighting all of Elyssar, they seem to be more than up to the task.
Absolutely, especially having all of those parts of the map still in full control. They had somebody in Freezer, and funny enough, Tragical, again, in a very rewarding position, playing in that tucked-in corner, which a lot of teams will just try to not focus on because there's too much to worry about besides that one little area that someone might be playing in. It was not a full guarantee, and with the pacing of that round, there wasn't really a good moment for Elyssar to go on that drone game to actually detect where the Melusi was, although I would have preferred that there was only about 30 seconds left, and they already had everybody drop in the middle of Pillar. There aren't too many good spots to actually drone in unless you're just directly behind that Pillar wall, and even then, we saw a flank happen last time by TookTheKids, so maybe having somebody watch that potential flank could be a bigger priority than checking for a singular rat corner that someone may or may not be in.
We have the opportunity for Elyssar to end this 7-4, as the only defenses we've had have been on these primary bomb sites. The dorms, basement, we had all those sorts of things, or at least the most memorable ones, of course. But now we're going to Meeting Hall and Kitchen. Elyssar are not going with the Osa strat, by the way, that we've seen quite a few teams go for, where, put the Osa shield in attic, or put one watching stage / green, wherever you want to go for. They're sticking with their fundamentals. They're rocking what they're good with. Giddy on the sledge, Kento with the Finka. Lord knows don't get him off that operator. There's you'd be crazy to put him off Finka at this point. See how they're able to manage on the tertiary site. They'll start in small tower, as they have before, and likely open up that castle barricade very quickly, or at least no reason not to right now. See Young Al go for it. Bam. There we go. Already getting that early bit of control, even with Triss trying to make it seem a little more difficult to take.
Having Showers control already here, Elyssar. Not too bad of a spot. Now they can begin to drone out on anybody that's playing near white, which currently not nice actually is. And he already receives a bunch of utility towards him. Beautiful grenade to open things up by Kenso. And again, the good information basis there to guarantee that first pick. They're already applying pressure onto Tragical as well. If it weren't for the fact that Alibi of Taha was out there to back him up, we might have already seen an early fall back there for the defense. And that could have been top floor control in the books for Elyssar so early on.
Won't worry about that right now as Young Alec continues to concern himself with the player insecurity. You'll walk past, start moving up white, and Elyssar are fully focused, all guns trained on clearing out this top floor. They know Taha's playing back inside of attic, as made evident by that spray flying through the wall. They can probably and reasonably assume that somebody's playing somewhere inside that area. Another reasonable assumption is Tragical's position, but he quickly falls down right as an explosion rocks the ground he was standing on. So that just leaves Taha as the lone defender on the second floor. He's got to rotate to make it out, and make it out he does, but not fully committing to moving back down. Still hoping for some, hope at a flank later on.
Maybe having backup from Tragical as well. He's not too far behind either, so that is something in the pocket of TookTheKids for later on. But having two people fully commit to that make or break, that does leave the site very vulnerable, especially during this vertical play. If Triss just overstays his welcome in one area for far too long, that could be his life gone, and that could maybe give a very potent position here for Elyssar. But thankfully, this flank paying dividends, and Triss as well, shutting down some of that vertical play, actually gives TookTheKids the advantage again.
Those flanks, Elyssar not watching it. Tragical, all the way back on basement. Here we go. Taha again. And now Trist on the site getting active, providing some issues that Elyssar are so far struggling to unravel and find the solution to. Enrio's moved down below. He's just trying to face check these, but Mr. B, wow, smokes him with a drive-by or outside of security. And that leaves Vivid and Kento struggling to make this happen. Kento just goes for the drop. The Melusi reveals his presence, but with a player to his right. And the same can be said for Vivid. Neither really stand a chance to deal with TookTheKids. 1 round away from overtime in what could be the unlikeliest victory of the day, perhaps of the first 2 days, if TookTheKids can win 1 more round and make it to overtime.
And I feel for the most part, it's been kind of the Kento show for the offense, and that has truly been it. I mean, we've seen this guy ace twice in a row, and not really a lot of recovery by the rest of Kento's group. It's been a lot of dying to a flank that should have already been cleared out. The last second droning just being ignored by Elyssar just to try to get hyper aggressive, which hasn't been favoring any of their players but Kento, and just having to rely on this one person to make all the space you need to have a play work, it's not a good recipe for success, and it has given Elyssar a couple of rounds, but in the majority of their setups, TookTheKids has now been able to come back and bring things literally down to the wire. 1 more round is all it takes to guarantee overtime, and maybe, just maybe, we will see an underdog storyline as a victory for TookTheKids, and proving all of us wrong once again, which would be hilarious for the timeline, don't get me wrong.
I mean, listen, I will certainly be joking about it if we're all wrong. That'd be hilarious. It's free content right there. Of course, also, speaking of, not free, but at least free in terms of what you can plan for, Elyssar don't have to do too much work and too much of a logical leap to figure out that, hey, TookTheKids are probably going to dorms. 1 basement, they've 1 meeting, unless they go to dining, which they're not going to do. Dorms is the site we need to prepare for. TookTheKids, of course, they know that as well. They've fully thought about their setup. We'll see what they do. Their biggest success, the thing that has stopped Elyssar at the door every time, has been the 2 players down below. 1 inside of kitchen and 1 inside of security. Whether it's Not Nice or Tragical or whoever it is, those 2 players have always stumped Elyssar as they work their clear in from small tower. Will we see an adjustment by Elyssar, perhaps starting over by master bedroom this time? We'll see Vivid go from the Hibana to the Thermite, of course keeping the Maverick, but that does indicate that we might see more of a presence by master bedroom, especially with Enrio on that Maverick. So if Elyssar decide to switch things up, I mean, it's match point. Been that way for a while. I can't think of a better time than round 12.
Yeah, it's almost a guarantee we're bound to see that pincer maneuver of both Addict and Master because, like I mentioned earlier, clearing out both the person in kitchen and security has just not gone well every single time for Elyssar. The only rounds where they had a victory when attacking kids was when they completely ignored it, and one of those rounds was also just solely off the back of Kento and the miscommunication and misinformation that was dealt by TookTheKids from their own hands. So I'm glad we're seeing some sort of adaptation on probably the most important round for Elyssar right now to make sure they do not give TookTheKids this opportunity to actually get themselves in overtime, and Giddy as well, trying to stop this flank from occurring. Thankfully, the Thunderbird is able to fall back. Taha is able to go back inside of kitchen, but man, that was way too close for comfort, Carter.
Yeah, that one was a little close. The Thunderbird will be more than happy to not die to the LMGE right there. There's one player pushed up a bit far inside of Attic. I believe that's the Melusi of Tragical, looking to take a gunfight with somebody outside of Attic. Unfortunately, Mr. B unsuccessful in Cade tricking the bedroom wall. He'll have to back off. But of course, you probably expect that breach getting opened at some point. And now, hopefully, we'll see TookTheKids maybe put a little bit more of a fight before Attic opens, but even then it appears that they've decided to give up both those breaches. They're fully holding on the site right now and hoping that Taha and Not Nice can do some work with these flanks, which, to be fair, Taha creeping up. No, not the armory stairs. That's basement stairs. Excuse me.
Same place, though.
Yeah.
Makes sense to
same,
confuse that. Yeah,
same
from the top
y-axis,
down, we weren't fully
or
aware
x-axis,
about that.
excuse me.
Oops.
Whoops.
Oh well. Still on the drawing board. No Nomad, no drones currently, nobody watching for that position, and having Not Nice to back him up as well, that does allow for some sort of safety protocol in case something doesn't go up to snuff for TookTheKids. And even having this nitro cell as well underneath, that could be a great way to stop a plant from going down, and maybe even giving TookTheKids that slight advantage and forcing overtime once again, like I mentioned previously.
Taha, unfortunately, letting it go a little bit too early, relying on maybe Mr. B communicating or giving that call. And not only does the C4 go wide, Kento goes huge, at least with that first pick. Mr. B pushed so far up on that wall is easy fodder for Kento's LMG. But same could be said for Tragical's MP5, a much more beautiful shot to take down the Finka and even up the man count. But young Alec is working his angle, working his pick, and it works out so far. Enrio spots one down below as well. This was all they needed. One attack where they all showed up, and it's all up to Tragical. But it's not enough to deal with young Alec. Everything pointed to this round and this half being a wash if Kento didn't show up. But the one round where everyone from Elyssar gets on the board, they win it out 7-5, and overtime is only a dream for TookTheKids.
And firstly, they noticed the problem with their attacks on kids in dorms,